Okay, so on the 4.02 quiz, number 1, what you want to do is first graph it. So these are really hard when you're going to interval notation. It's hard to do unless you graph it. So first I'm just going to go over here on my Word document and graph x is greater than or equal to -2. Because of the greater than or equal to, you want to fill in a dot, so a solid dot on -2. And again, you just have to think about what it means. This means the number's bigger than -2 because the x is on the open side. So whatever's on the open side is the bigger thing. And when it's bigger, you want to shade to the right. So we just go like this, shade to the right, okay? And then for x is less than -4, let's switch colors here. Or x is less than +4, sorry, I think I said -4. Because of the less than sign, not less than or equal to, but just strictly less than, we're going to put an open circle on 4. And then the 4 is on the bigger side, x is on the smaller side. So this means that you want the numbers smaller than 4, which are the numbers to the left. So you shade to the left. Okay. Now because of the word and, in that problem it says and, that means you just take the overlap. So the answer to this problem on the, if you graph it, is just right there. That's where those two things overlap. So now you're ready to write the interval notation for that. Now if you look on the right boundary, 4, notice that open circle. You have to put a parenthesis there. Parenthesis and open circle are the same thing. You can't actually equal 4. On the left, your boundary is -2. It has a solid dot there, so you put a bracket. Bracket and a solid dot means it can actually equal 2, and then all you do is you put a comma in between. So if you notice, that looks like option C. Okay, question 3. Similar thing, it already has a graph done for us. Now notice on the graph for question 3 that there's a gap. There is not an area where they overlap. So this is not going to be an and or an intersection. So and the upside down U mean the same thing. If you see the word or the right side up U, that was the same back in Unit 1 when we were talking about sets. We talked about the union and the intersection. Those were another 2 vocabulary words that we learned. And those that were also associated with the right side up U or the upside down U. So all of those, and the upside down U and the intersection, those are all synonymous. Okay? What that means is that you'll have an area of the graph that overlaps. Or union, or the right side up U, just means you take, you just combine both sets. That's a little bit harder, like on number 3, when you already have the graph in front of you. But like I said, a good indication that number 3 is going to be or the right side up U is that gap. So you see part of the shading to the left and the shading to the right, there's a gap in between 0 and 1. So that's why it's option D instead of option C. Okay, so just keep in mind if there's a gap there, that it's definitely going to be an or a union. Okay, now on 4, what we have to do here, let me go over here and give myself some room here. What we got to do first is solve that inequality. So let's write it over here. And this is going to be an and inequality. Anytime you have 2 inequality symbols with, like in this case, -4 on the left, 10 on the right, a plus 2 smushed in between, that's an and. And you really have 2 equations, 2 things that are true. You have negative 4 is less than a plus 2, and you have a plus 2 is less than 10. So we're going to take each of those and solve. Now, you solve it the same, each one is going to be the same. All you have to do is subtract 2. And your answer is going to be different. So here you get negative 6 is less than a. And then same thing here, subtract 2, but you're going to get a is less than 8. Okay? So again, because of the strictly less than symbols there, you're going to put open circles on negative 6 and 8. Okay? We'll do the negative 6 is less than a first of all. Now I could say that as negative 6 is less than a. I could also say that as a is greater than negative 6. And so that means I want to shade to the right. A represents the numbers that are bigger than negative 6, so I want to shade what that representation is. Then if I do a is less than 8, open circle on 8, and I'm just going to switch to green, and then you're going to shade to the left, because that represents all the numbers less than 8. And again, because this is an and, it doesn't have the word and in there, but anytime, like I said, if you have these two inequality symbols here, stuff on the right, left, and something in between, that's an and, you only take the overlap. So again, if I grab my highlighter, that's only from here to here. And so you're going to take the left boundary, which is negative 6, and the right boundary, which is 8. They're going to have parentheses on both sides because of the open circle, and then just put a comma in between. Okay? I hope that helps. Let me know if you still have questions.